Hey everybody, welcome to the Song Revolution podcast, brought to you by Nashville Christian Songwriters. Nashville Christian Songwriters exists to empower Christian songwriters worldwide. I'm John Chisum, and this podcast exists to bring you valuable songwriting insights, inspiration, interviews, and just all around good fun with some of the greatest songwriters, producers, arrangers, artists, and creatives, and beyond. You can find out a whole lot more about us at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show this week. Do you ever feel stuck? Do you ever wonder if you're going to write a great song again? Do you ever wonder if you're going to ever feel inspiration? Well, today I want to talk with you about 3 ways to reignite your creativity, to kind of get back into that flow, to feel inspired again, to tap into the creativity that you know the Holy Spirit is deep within you. I love doing this show because it gives me a lot of freedom to explore the things that are going to help you to grow in your songwriting. That's why we're here. Nashville Christian Songwriters exist to empower you, Christian songwriters worldwide, wherever you are, whatever your context, whatever it is that you feel God's trying to bring through your life, through your songwriting. We want to be there. We want to come alongside and help you. We want to help you tap in to the Holy Spirit within you. You know, He's the real creativity anyway. Jesus said He was giving the Holy Spirit to us. John 14, kind of that part of the Gospels where He says that He's giving us the Holy Spirit. It was good for Him to go away, He told His friends, so that He could give them and us His Holy Spirit, the one who is, the Greek is the paraclete, the one who is called alongside to help us to do the things He's called us to do. So I believe He's right there with you to help you in your songwriting as well. So we're going to get into a little bit of that today. 3 ways to reignite your creativity. We have so many amazing things going on around here at NCS. I'm not going to try to list all of them, but there's just tremendous things ahead for us. We want you to be watching for a brand new streaming service called Worship Underground. In fact, you can go over to worshipunderground.com and you can sign up for some information that's going to be coming out really, really soon. And this is a new worship streaming service that is going to be taking your songs straight to the heart of the church. And NCS is right up in the middle of it. We're going to be reviewing and vetting the songs that go through on that service. So you can be checking NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com very soon for the launch. We're moving into beta right now, beta testing. And then in just a few weeks, we're going to be launching the full-on service where you can submit your songs and actually have a shot at getting them heard by the church worldwide. It's very exciting times. I say often that there's been no better time to be a Christian communicator than right now. You have more power in your cell phone than entire record labels had 30 years ago. And so you got to take advantage of that. You got to live into the opportunities and really kind of take this thing up to another level. Go to just the highest level that you possibly can. And that happens with, one step at a time. You don't just jump across the Grand Canyon in one fell swoop, but you do cross it one little step at a time. So hopefully you can just take it up, guys. Take it up. And it all starts with a vision. It all starts with just thinking, okay, we can do better at this. We can encourage ourselves. We can get some education. We can get some training. We can go deeper into it. And that's why we exist here at NCS. Our mission is to empower Christian songwriters worldwide. And over the last 3.5 years, God has given us a tremendous reach into the nations. We were visiting with our marketing folks the other day, and he pulled up a map of the world online, and he could mouse over all the different countries where at least one person has been in touch with us here at NCS, and almost every country it looked like. I'm sure it wasn't quite everyone, but on every continent, it looked like in almost every country, it was just lighting up. And I'm telling you guys, that lit up my heart. I'm kind of, I've had 35 years of writing songs, publishing, arranging, doing worship records, traveling the world. I've got over 1 million miles with Delta Airlines alone. I'm a million miler for life with them. I kind of got stuck with them, and I love them. God bless you, Delta. Maybe you'll sponsor our show someday, but I've done this. This has been my life. This isn't something that's just come along in the last couple of years and I decided to make a career of it. This has been God's call on my life, and I'm so grateful that I'm in a season where I get to download to you guys the wisdom, the experience, and the successes of my life, and hopefully you can find your own way into the fullness of the calling that God has on your life. We're going to be talking more about that. But as far as what's going on here at NCS, we've got the Worship Underground thing that's launching here in the next few weeks here in June 2019, if you're listening at another time. And we've got our next boot camp is opening on June 25th. It's almost full. So you guys, if you're interested in that, jump over to our site, NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. Read about the boot camp. There's no deeper kind of personal coaching that I know of in this whole Christian music business thing like we do it. And so if you're interested in really ramping up your songwriting, go check out the bootcamp link there on our site, as well as our next NCS Weekend Intensive. If you're into the party, if you want to come and have 3 days of coaching, you get 3 songs coached by professional coaches who've had multiplied thousands of songs recorded, no exaggeration. And you get to meet tremendous people that are here in the music business currently, people that are at the top of the game, people like Lauren Daigle's A&R guy, John Mays. We're invited into Centricity Music again for a down-home barbecue dinner. John's going to be there. Jason Gray was with us in January. Who knows who might be there in July? It was just fantastic. We're going to be invited into Centricity Music, gold and platinum records all over the place. Just a great way to connect into folks that are in the industry currently. We've got Tom Jackson, who has worked with 3 tours with Taylor Swift. He is the premier live music producer. I had to think about it for a second. The premier live music producer. He doesn't go in the studio and produce albums. He actually gets on the stage and works with performers. Every Christian artist and band you can possibly name that is successful, as well as people like Shawn Mendes and T Swift herself. And so he's just a fantastic asset to NCS and to our weekend intensives. We limit it to 30 people. So if you are interested, I encourage you to jump over there now, look at the intensive link on our site, and go ahead and register. You can save some money there. And if you're an NCS member, you can save even more. If you're looking for a place to belong, if you're looking for a place to grow, if you're looking for a place to share your songs and really get awesome feedback and to really go deeper with monthly masterclasses, articles, videos, discounts on everything we do, then NCS membership is the only way to go. $16.99 a month, or you can pay annually, and I think it's $179. What a deal. You can't go out and get a masterclass every month on incredible songwriting topics for any less than that. So jump over there to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com and check it out. We're just here to help. So let us come alongside. Let us bring the spirit that God's given us to help with the spirit He's given you to help you take powerful steps, quantum leaps in your songwriting right now. Why let this year go by? Jump on in. So let's get into our content for today. 3 ways to reignite your creativity. I have spoken with over 1,000 aspiring songwriters in the last 2.5 years since we started our boot camp. We have our Facebook ads that take you to a webinar, and you can watch that. And then if you're interested in booking a call with me, I have literally spoken with over 1,000 aspiring songwriters. And you guys, I love you. You all feel the same thing. You feel a passion inside to share your heart. You feel this deep passion to share worship. You want to bring people into that experience. You feel called. You want to get your songs out there, right? And I used to think, okay, this is crazy. Can all these people really feel the same thing? And it's almost like I could just tell you exactly what's going to be said on a potential boot camp client call, right? And I got a little skeptical for a little while, and I'm thinking, Lord, really, are all these people really called? And then one day I just kind of had this epiphany, and it's like, yes, you are called. Each and every one of you are called to express the love and the glory and the power and the majesty and the worship and the relationship and your testimony. You are all called. You're all called. But not everybody takes it to the highest level. And so I just kind of began to be okay with it. It's like, okay, I want to validate your calling. I don't judge anyone by their level of experience, because people are at all different places on the continuum, right? You might just be starting out, or you might be somewhat advanced, or you might have already had songs recorded, or you're making records. You have a ministry that you're already all about. And so I don't judge anybody. I mean, yeah, I've lost my skepticism. I feel like the Holy Spirit, nudged me at least to say, no, wait a minute. Many are called, but few choose to take their calling all the way. And I realize that that's contextual as well. So one of the transitions that I've made as I've worked with our clients over the last couple of years is realizing that, hey, you have your place. You have your context. You have your church. You have your region. You have your state or the tri-state area, or I don't know, maybe you're at a national level or maybe even at a global level. But those are all just stages and phases and different contexts. And we've worked with people who were in high school and they were working with their youth ministry. We've worked with worship leaders and worship pastors who are in the local church, however small or large, and they just want to write for their church. And then I've worked with people who are all the way into their 70s and 80s, and their dream was just to write a song for their very small church. So we've worked with everybody across the spectrum. And I've just come to believe that, yes, every person listening to me, you're called, you are, and you're passionate, and you have a real testimony. So now the question changes from, am I good enough, to am I called enough? Or do I believe in my calling enough to take this to the next level? And I've just started saying that to people when I'm on the phone with them. It's like, okay, yeah, I recognize that. I validate your calling. I validate your passion. I validate this gnawing feeling that you have to get your songs out there. You want to be heard. And guess what? You were born to be heard. Maybe you've lost the fire along the way. Maybe you feel like you've been kind of butting your head up against a stump and it's like, okay, I think I have a headache now. I think I'm going to stop. And you kind of back off for a little while. And that's what happens when you feel like you're not getting any traction in your songwriting. And I think sometimes it can be a combination of things. I talk to people a lot who say that they have trouble finishing their songs. Well, having trouble finding things to write about, or being unable to finish your songs, or getting stuck on your melodies, those type things, I don't think that's so much a matter of talent as it is a matter of just skill. And so when you can get some more skills in your basket and tools in your toolbox, then you wind up being a little more equipped. And yet, even people who are equipped, even people who know a lot about songwriting or art, wind up kind of losing the fire somewhere along the way. The other thing that people say to me on almost every call is, well, I started playing the piano when I was 11, or I started writing songs and poetry when I was 12 or 14 or 17. A lot of this, it's kind of deep down, visceral kind of stuff for us. It's like maybe you felt your call from a very young age and life just kind of got in the way. School, careers, families, all the responsibilities, a mortgage, car payments, all that kind of stuff just sort of got in the way. And then time just sort of passed by. And the funny thing about time is it just doesn't stop for our dreams. And, maybe if you've let time slip away from your dream of writing and getting songs out to the world, maybe what I'm going to share today will help you kind of re-engage with that sense of excitement and creativity. And that we call it passion and calling and all that. But I think really it's really God moving through us. God is more jealous for His glory and for His kingdom even than we are. And I think a lot of times our motivations kind of get mixed up a little bit because we do have ego. We do want to be recognized for our talent. And I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. It can go to some extremes, of course. We can name some folks, but it's like we're never going to have totally pure motivation. So I think we've got to just recognize that and keep desiring and striving to be pure before the Lord, of course. And when maybe ego rears its ugly head or pride or, that's all just the flip side of rejection. I almost did a show today on the fear of rejection and why people don't show their work because they're afraid of being rejected. And all that really is the flip side of pride. All that is ego. We don't want to recognize that we might not be as good as we think we are, or that we need help, that we need to learn. And that ego thing, that pride thing kind of flips on us and becomes fear. And it's kind of the same way with people who say they're perfectionists. And so they wind up being paralyzed by perfection. But you can only perfect a work once you got it out there, once you've got it out of your head and onto the paper. That's when you begin to refine and perfect your lyric or your melody or whatever it is that you're working on. You have to get it out of your head. You can't let it just shut you down, or, hey, everybody loses that way. So when it comes to creativity and inspiration and all those kinds of things, there are some nuances, of course, between inspiration and creativity or originality, we might say. I want to center a little bit on 3 ways that you can basically redeem your time, make a big turnaround right now and get back into the game with your songwriting. Inspiration, I talk about inspiration a lot because people say, well, that person was really inspired when they did this or that song is really inspired. But inspiration is something that is generated within us. It's not something that we have to go out and get. Inspiration is something that is innate to our nature. And for those of us who are believers in Jesus Christ, my goodness, hadn't God already done everything He needs to do to inspire us? The root for the word inspiration is inspiriting. It basically means the Spirit dwelling within. So to be inspired means that we're getting in touch with the Spirit that is already within us. Paul, the Apostle Paul, throughout all the epistles that he wrote, it's a lot of P's popping on my screen here. He is a monster when it comes to talking about the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. Colossians 1:27 talks about Christ in you, the hope of glory. In another place, Paul says that we are administrators of the mysteries of God. And we could go on and on and on, all those references, but God's already done everything He's going to do to inspire us, you guys. And so now it's up to us to tap into that inner spirit, the Spirit of God, the Spirit who created the worlds, the heavens, the earth, all the stars and the moon and the planets and the galaxies and all these things that we continue to write about in our songs. I have a couple of apps. We sit out on the porch at night, and I have a satellite app where we actually track satellites as they go overhead. It's so cool. Sometimes we can see them, not always. And there's some really cool stargazing apps that you kind of point your phone up in the sky and you can see the orbiting stars, the constellations, and all that kind of thing. And it's just absolutely fascinating. And He's the same God that created all that, the same Spirit that created everything that we just are in awe of is resident within us, as I was referring to earlier. So God's already done everything that He wanted to do and planned to do and accomplished within us to inspire us. He put His Spirit in us, and that's what to be inspired means. It means to be inspirited. And so I think that one of our chief problems is we're just not generating that inspiration. Now, inspiration and creativity, I think, are closely linked. Originality could be a kind of a different discussion in some ways that flows out of inspiration and creativity. But I think one of the things we've been talking a lot about overcoming writer's block and the myth of writer's block. We did a show on that a couple of weeks ago. I've been writing some articles on it because I don't really believe in it, you guys. I think that Yes, there are seasons when we are not very productive because we're stressed, or we're broke, or we're tense, or we're going through feeling depressed, or we actually have full-on depression, or we're going through trials or struggles. And for some people, that lights them up. That's when they get creative, when they kind of get down into their psyche a little bit, and that's where they kind of get creative. But for the rest of us, it's just a stress, and we kind of shut the creativity down and the inspiration down, and we don't write. But to me, that's just kind of a different thing than this giant, crazy demon we call writer's block. I just want to dismiss that from our lives altogether if I can, and dispel that and deal with what we've got to deal with, right? If we're stressed in our marriage and business and career and kids and money and all that kind of stuff, and we feel time slipping away, then the pressure does not lend itself to creativity. We've got to give ourselves some space, give ourselves some time, give ourselves maybe some white space to just kind of chill and let that innate creativity and inspiration and originality rise up within us. I think a lot of us look at ourselves as batteries that need to be charged rather than generative power plants. I'm trying to really change the way I think about myself and realize that creativity and inspiration, that's all just part of my spirit, man. That's all part of even my soul. That's part of what God created us to be just as humans, and that's to generate creativity, to generate originality, to generate the things that we need. We are generative. We can choose to be that, or we're just at the mercy of our circumstances, of our stresses, of our relationships, of all the people around us, and we just really kind of put our power in someone else's hands, even God's, and say, okay, God, I'm waiting on you to inspire me. And he's like, well, hey, I'm waiting on you. I've already done the work. All right. So we're talking today about 3 ways to reignite your creativity. I mean, it's no joke. You were born to be heard. Maybe you just lost the fire somewhere along the way. You felt this call from a very young age, but life got in the way. Marriage, business, career, kids, time is slipping by. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have got to do something with this. And, time just doesn't slow down for us. So if you've let time slip away from your dream of writing and getting songs out to the world, here are 3 things I think you can do right now to turn it around and redeem the time that you have left. Number 1, make a plan. Take control of your calendar and plan your songwriting time each week, maybe even each day. I talk to so many people and they're like, I just don't have time to write. And I'm like, well, yeah, you do. You're just kind of not prioritizing your time in the way that would benefit your writing. They're like, well, we've got kids and I work and I'm tired and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, come on, guys. I mean, we all make time to do the things that we need to do and that we want to do the most. Not having dedicated time to be creative is the single greatest song stealer. Professionals that I'm around, myself and so many others, always prioritize our songwriting time, and we keep control of our calendars at all costs. It may seem like it's difficult, but you got to tell some folks no every now and then. You got to turn a show off or DVR it and save it for later. Do something different in your life. You need to interrupt the pattern of even saying you don't have time, because that sets up a negative reaction even in your mind, your body, your circumstances. You got to say, I am making time to do the thing that I am most passionate about. And then number 2, immerse yourself in what inspires you. The tapping into those things that bring that inspiration to the forefront. Sometimes we've gotten distracted or lazy when all it would take to reignite our songwriting is listening more, reading more, walking more. I mean, what inspires you to write? Go do more of it. Make it a part of your plan to redeem your time. And again, I don't think it's like filling a battery. I think it's like getting in touch with the power that you already have. Now, I'm going to tell you a pretty transparent story, something that happened to me. It was in June of 2015. I was in just really kind of a stupid part of my life. I was kind of down. I was really depressed. I'd gone through some circumstances that did not make me happy. And I'd spent about 6 months just really depressed and in chaos in my whole life. And I decided this was June of 2015, I decided that I was going to go on a Daniel fast and I was going to start working out again because I was just getting fat, eating whatever I wanted to, and I wasn't working out and I was miserable and I was just in a really awful place. And so I remember starting that Daniel fast, and just a few days into it, I was out for a walk in my neighborhood, and I can take you to the exact square of cement in the sidewalk where I know that God spoke to me. It didn't even have to be an audible voice because, it was loud and clear. And what I felt the Spirit say to me, it just resonated throughout every last strand of DNA in my body, was, you are not even being a good human right now. I don't know if you've ever been rebuked by God, but let me tell you, I just almost fell down on the sidewalk right there. I knew in a nanosecond what he was talking about. I was filled with self-pity. I was filled with self-doubt. I was angry. I was hurt. I was wounded. I was just messed up in my soul. And it took a strong word from God to set me free in that moment. And that's what began my turnaround. That's what got us on the track of even starting Nashville Christian Songwriters. That was 6 months before I started this company. It was 6 months before I ever really heard the clear call of God to bring our mentoring and coaching into this format. But I'm telling you, that moment on that sidewalk when God said to me, you're not even being a good human right now, what I realized is that I was leaving untold resources that God had just given me as a human being. I was just leaving them untapped. I was feeling sorry for myself. I was in a bad mindset. I wasn't even tapping into the basic human talents and powers that he'd given me, much less tapping into the Holy Spirit's power, right? If we just knew, human power has put men on the moon, for crying out loud. Human power has created all kinds of miraculous cures. Human power has done amazing things, horrible things too, but amazing things, right? And so it's like I wasn't even a good human. And so it just began to really turn me around. And I began to say, okay, what is it that I need to be doing now to just become a better person? So getting out and walking, my friend Nancy says, angels talk to those who walk. And I tell you, I get inspired when I go for a walk. So what is it that helps you tap into that generative place of power within your life, right? What is it? Sure, read the word, sure, go to church, sure, pray, sure, worship, do those things. But what else? What else do you need to add into your daily routine and plan on each and every week to inspire yourself? Okay, I could go off on that again, man. I love that topic. Number 3, get into a creative atmosphere with like-minded creatives. All of us were born for community, for fellowship, for belonging. In his really cool book called The Talent Code, Unlocking the Secret of Skill in Sports, Art, Music, Math, and just about anything, Daniel Coyle visited 9 creative hotspots around the world where these crazy crops of athletes, artists, and musicians have occurred, and he studied them in history as well. And that's what he found over and over and over, is a community of people pursuing the same thing. You can go look at the vocal studio where Beyonce came from. You can go around the world to South America, where these soccer camps are bringing people out to the world like Pele. You can find example after example. You can think about the Renaissance, when all the artists lived in community, or many of them did, and just encouraged and inspired, this massive amounts of creativity. And that's what we're doing here at NCS. We're offering that through our NCS membership. If you're hungry for that sense of belonging and you want to unlock more skill, more inspiration, get deeper in touch with who God's made you to be, get into a creative community. That's why praise teams can flourish or go really sour. That's why, churches, that's why home groups, that's why schools, that's why these different organizations, these enclaves of artists or people pursuing the same kind kind of thing in their lives. That's why they're so important. I mean, there's just nothing quite like being with your tribe and your people. It stirs up healthy competition and the proverb of iron sharpening iron. You're just not going to get that being all on your own. So I want to encourage you to go check out NCS membership today. If you're not part of NCS membership, honey, you are missing out. We have a monthly masterclass, 90 minutes every month, where we go live online with you. We get into some cool topics. It's live, it's interactive. We answer your questions. We bring up some cool things that will help you along your way. So 3 ways that you can become more creative. Tap into more creativity in your life. Number 1, make a plan. Number 2, immerse yourself in what does bring out that inspiration and creativity. Number 3, get into a creative atmosphere with like-minded creatives. I started to say creatures. I guess we are creatures, but like-minded creatives. Saint Maurer in 1225, he said, time waits for no man. Well, it certainly didn't wait for him, and it's not going to wait for us. So redeem your time with these 3 things and watch as your songwriting takes just tremendous strides, takes off again. You'll feel new. You'll feel empowered. You will just be blazing all kinds of new creative trails in your songwriting. And you know what? People are going to notice that. And that's what you want. You want people to respond because you are called. God's hand is on you. So take it and run. All right, guys, we got some great podcasts coming up. I just won't even go into all of it, but next week I've got one. I'm just so fanboy over David Leonard. David was the male part of the duo, All Sons and Daughters, with Leslie Jordan. And I'm telling you, I've been such a fan of those guys. And I got to go over to David's studio here in the Franklin, Tennessee area last week, and we just had a great interview together. And man, I'm even more of a geek about David. He's got a brand new album out called The Wait, and has a short film that is 55 minutes long that I've already been through twice. And it's all of his worship songs, 13 worship songs on the new record called The Wait, just strung together in this really creative, awesome short film also called The Wait. And it's free right there on YouTube. So jump over to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. Check out membership today. Join this community. Ramp up your creativity and your inspiration. And we can't wait to hear what you do, what God does through you with your songwriting soon. All right, you guys, have a great week. We'll see you next time. Hey everybody, I hope that you know by now that we here at Nashville Christian Songwriters are all about empowering you to fulfill your call to become a great Christian songwriter. And the best thing that I think you can do is to join a like-minded community of believing songwriters dedicated to fulfill that call. So I want to invite you to jump over to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com, even right now, to check out what we call NCS membership, where you can go deeper into all the resources that will kickstart your creativity, unlock hidden songwriting abilities that you didn't even know you had, and take some important steps towards becoming the songwriter that you were born to be. I believe that you were born to be heard, and NCS membership helps you get there. I'll see you next time.